before it was 6 planets out of 10 that were retrograde. Now we've got about half. Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, I believe Uranus, and Neptune and Pluto also. Uranus is actually direct. So the retrograde energies, to me, lend to the story of finding some balance between the external and the internal. The Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto are all retrograde in Capricorn, and Saturn just today went back into Capricorn. So there's a lot, and because this is the last eclipse in Capricorn for so long, it's all kind of pointing in this direction of completion and wrapping up, and really taking another last look at any patterns you have around Capricorn archetypal theme. So the themes of Capricorn is the sea goat, it's the Earth planet that comes in, when the winter solstice is when the sign of Capricorn, it shifts from Sagittarius into Capricorn. So 0 degrees of Capricorn is the moment of the winter solstice. And Capricorn is the sign that introduces winter. It's a sign that's associated with aging and maturity, commitment, persistence, sustainability, patience. You have a goat puts one foot up in front of another, working its way up a mountain until it gets to the top. So in the world, in the collective, Capricorn has to do with the societal structures that we depend upon to kind of keep life moving forward. So, our businesses, government, any kind of bureaucracy that we've set up in the form of a system is ruled by Capricorn. So with this Jupiter-Pluto conjunction that we've been experiencing all year long, and this week it's exact once more, it will be conjunct one more time by direct motion in the fall. But this is its retrograde conjunction of Jupiter and Pluto in Capricorn. And that signifies enormous, powerful, as big as you can imagine with Jupiter, and even bigger with Pluto, because Pluto rules everything that is, almost overwhelming in scope. So these two energies together, as we've seen, in the collective consciousness, are bringing about incredible transformational changes to our society. And because Jupiter and Pluto at this degree of Capricorn are so tightly linked to the chart of the United States, we're seeing that a lot of these changes are being manifest in the government of the United States, and the way that our day-to-day societal structure is going through these huge transformative changes. So during this retrograde, we're given the opportunity to reflect upon and rethink, renegotiate, reform everything that we've brought to this moment from the past. So when it goes direct in September, we're coming to it with kind of a new, cleaned up, energetic framework, that we're not bringing luggage and baggage and all kinds of old stuff with us from the past to reform the structures of the society and ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, can I give a synopsis of what you've said and see if I'm on with what you're talking about? So we have a polarity between Capricorn, which is the sign of systems, we'll say this, at a collective level, it's what creates the systems of society, government, business, education, probably health systems. It's the sign of the expert, but real earthy, like really fastidious, like will will do well over time because of how it's for the long haul.
Mhm.
And so we've got that going on, a lot of things going on in Capricorn. And we have quite a few planets that are moving backwards, which means reconfigure, re-envision, restore, rest, like anything that starts with a redo.
Mhm.
And the planets we have there that are moving retrograde are really important, and they've been very important historically when they've met before. A lot of beginnings and endings of societal structures have happened when there's a conjunction between either Pluto and Jupiter in Capricorn or Saturn and Pluto. And so they're really powerful. They're powerful collectively, but they show up individually within our systems of, and that here's going to throw in Mercury, our systems of belief that's moving retrograde. So Mercury is oftentimes associated with perception and how we're perceiving the world. And it's going backwards in Cancer, in this super watery, nurturing planet of belonging, where, from my opinion, I feel like Mercury might be a little confused by nature in that realm, because Mercury's a different energy than the moon's the Cancerian nurturing mama. So it's a little confusing, and we see that globally, and exhausting with the Capricorn piece. And who's not exhausted right now? And who knows what the future has and hold at a very systemic level. So with COVID and with we're both in the US right now, and it's really challenging place energetically for me to be as a sensitive, because there's so many layers of economically what's going on and how that affects people, what's going on in politics, and yeah, that makes me roll my eyes and like also gets my heart going. But then systematic racism, like all of this stuff we've got, that's just to name a few. So everything's in review, and it's super, it's charged right now because there's the contrast between Capricorn and its opposite in Cancer and then it's exaggerated by Jupiter, but also by a full moon total lunar eclipse. I mean, that's going over this area of the world. And so it's charged and really, really fertile with deep infrastructural change at a personal and a collective level. And so that's where my invitations will come in at, is where is our place of power right now in this current time when so many things seem so out of our control, which is a very Plutonian feeling. And so is this, am I on with this, Fern?
Yeah, and I just want to add to that. I like what you said about control, because I think that's a key piece of this. Capricorn is a sign that's very much associated with control. And, the gift of Capricorn is putting people, businesses, organizations into some kind of a system and some kind of a control state, that they work, that they move, that things happen, things get done. But the flip side of that is that over controlling to the point that you squeeze all the life out of something. So the opportunity with this Jupiter and Pluto transit through Capricorn and Saturn moving back and joining and the Cancer opposing is that there's an opportunity to breathe new life into dead systems and dead structures. To, if you have an old house and it needs some major foundational repair work, you completely rip out all the, you rip out the walls, you rip out the foundation, you basically destroy it so that you have a clear, ground to build something new. And that's pretty much what we're looking at with this configuration. So the Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn combo, we call it a stellium in an astro language, that's been in operation all year, and that is a great explanation astrologically for all the stuff that's happened. But this full moon eclipse, and just to flag this, so the eclipses are felt 3 to 6 months before and after. They kind of peak out, and then we're dealing with the after effects. So the eclipse has been affecting us all year long too. But this weekend, on this, kind of iconic date of July 4th, with all the stuff that's happening in the United States, is really a punctuation moment for us to really see what we need to transform in ourselves personally, what kinds of, as you mentioned, Coco, I like how you put that, our personal structures and systems that have outlived their purpose and need to die. Pluto's the planet of death. So there is that thing of what needs to die and what needs to be crumbled and let go of so that we can build new structures. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious to see what kind of practices you might bring to this.
Yeah. So I'll summarize, even like a shorter summary. I do well entering into the practices through that. So essentially we're interested in where our place of power is. In the US, it's an iconic holiday weekend and everything's closed and the COVID cases are on the full up and up. So it's a very odd atmosphere to be in, because we also have Mars and Aries that's like go. There's an energy of forward and onward, but everything else is moving backwards. So it creates just this sort of like 1 minute I can be clear, and next moment I might be like devastatingly sad about what's going on in the world, and then it's a charged time, and so we need to expect it to be charged.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you, but I just put your triggering thought, and I want to just go bounce off what you're saying, because one thing that I left out of all of this is that Uranus in Taurus is sextiling the sun and the moon. So Uranus is the planet of freedom and liberation, and this is happening on July 4th. So there is, with the sextile aspect, is a very supportive, creative, enlivening aspect. And so having the planet of freedom and transformation and feeling your authenticity and your truth, sextiling this full moon eclipse on July 4th, I really want to just make sure that in this practice, we have this theme of freedom and liberation, because it's key.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So essentially, first and foremost, the most power that you have to change every system in the world is through your inner practice, because it's us. It's the collection of perceptions that makes our reality. And we're a collection of our ancestors' perceptions and our karmic perceptions and our culture's perceptions. We need to shift. Each of us, we have a ton of power internally.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah, so just what you're saying, like with the perception piece, what you're saying, the shifting of the perception, Mercury is sextile Uranus. So Mercury, the planet of communications and perceptions, is part of the sextile because it's in Cancer too. So love that. Just wanted to flag that astrologically.
And so there's certain key phrases that you want to carry with you through this weekend and beyond, because this is like, as Fern said, it's 3 months before and 3 months afterwards that this sort of signature of energy is going on. And it's big. It's a big deal. Obviously, we look outside. It's big. So practices.
Big.
Okay. So practices, the phrase, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. The phrase, I'm open to change. I'm open to receive assistance. So we're reaching out and igniting our connection to all that is. Because on Earth, we've been in a real particular system in an infinite reality. So we want to access, rather than from our own thoughts, we want new thoughts. We want new subconscious programming, which is really supported. Sorry that for the beep, but it's really supported with this Plutonian piece, this deep rewiring. So that said, I suggest that inner work's first priority, those phrases you're carrying all the time, and then you're also very aware of your emotional landscape. because our emotional landscape is determining the atmosphere of the systems that were of our perception. So if I look on the news, because I don't watch that much news, but I do check every day to see what's going on, and I'll notice if I have an emotional response. And I did, of course, when I saw that there's like over 50,000 new cases yesterday of COVID. Well, I stop reading the news then. I get that much information that triggers this feeling of despair and of fear and of sadness, a combination of hard emotions. Well, that becomes my exercise. My exercise in that moment is to do some sort of inner work. And I'll give you some suggested practices, but it's anything. And it can be as simple as jumping in the shower and asking the water as I breathe to shift my emotional landscape so I can reestablish alignment with hope. So I don't know how things will be solved. Remember, the first phrase is, I don't know. Too many things are moving backwards. We don't know what's going to happen, but we can shift from a place of real fearful, I don't know, to like, I don't know. But I am a vessel of hope. I am an instrument of peace. And I know that my empowerment is through embodiment. So then the next moment happens, and say then I get sad about something personally, because this is happening. This is affecting systems from their root, from the inside out. And so it's a bit of a minefield walking through the days, because we might get triggered from something of our own life, of friends, the collective, etc. So it's to stay really present, because that's your place of power. If you take off, it's fine, but it's just not a place of power. Being present is our place of power, embodied. So then I might notice that I'm angry at someone, which is with Mars and Aries, it's a real, it's like a projected attitude towards somebody. Well, as soon as I can, I'll notice that and be like, oh, here I am. I am enacting another system of thought that involves bad guy and good guy. I want to go back to the source. So the last example is, say I take a shower and I notice how beautiful the shower feels, and I'm letting go of my frustration so I can choose peace. Well, say with this one, I grab one of my stones that I work with. You can do this by grabbing any stone, and I'll blow in my anger. Nice, she's got her stone. I'll blow in my frustration, and I'll imagine it and then feel it. I'll actually track this. I'll take 5 at least. I mean, my sensitivity level and my lifestyle causes me to do embodiment practices almost like 70% of the day, because I'll just be aware of how my breath, even my breath by itself, can be used as a form of alchemy to transform one emotional state to another. So then again, I'll become an instrument of peace. But my Mars is in Aries. So I have this ferocity. So I'll jump on and do a workout called the class. I really like it, the class. And I'll do it. I'll be on my trampoline, and I'll be punching the air on purpose. And I'll move emotion, like anger, if I have it. So it's always being aware of how I am emotionally, rather than the why. The why will be like going down the rabbit hole right now. It's too confusing. It's my place of power is, why? I let it go, but I'll jump on the trampoline. I'll go outside. I'll roll around and cuddle. I'll grab my little kitty. I'll play with, breathe into stones. To move. The whole thing is about moving emotional energy on the trampoline, punching the air, or just punching the air in general. In the Corona Project, there's a meditation on just that. But to move it, and then to do so with my workout, it's been so fun in the last few days since Mars shifted. I've noticed with Mars entering Aries, the warrior energy is there. But how about I'll by the end of my 35-minute workout, be like punching the air with being a warrior for joy. and
Mhm.
saying, I'm open to receive solution. Let my perception be a porous place for solution to land in the next 6 months. I mean, we're in the configurations. It's happening for a while, the reconfiguration. And so it's a steadfast commitment to be emotionally aware and to go into my emotional presence. With the phrase, I don't know, I'm open to change, I'm open to receive assistance, and then doing alchemy in one form or another all the time. And that the more that we're in that, in a very loving, self-love, loving for each other way, the more powerfully we can move the energy that's going on right now.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and just to go off of what you said, the Mars in Aries and Mercury is retrograde in Cancer, and Mercury's going to be going backwards over the next few days and lining up to form a square with Mars. So Mars in excuse me, Mars in Aries, Mercury in Cancer, communication and action, communication and anger, our perceptions and how we move through the world physically. So over this week in particular, everything that you're talking about is really highlighted. That whole process of moving emotional energy out of your body, through your body, not letting it stick, because Cancer, in Mercury and Cancer, that's communication in a really deep, emotional, vulnerable way that's tied into the past, tied into emotions from the past, particularly because it's retrograde. So our minds over this next couple of weeks may be particularly sifting through information and emotions and experiences and relationships from the past. And Mars in Aries is bringing up some anger and desire for movement and change and impatience for, something new to arise.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is for one of our future videos. We'll be getting into talking about what it means that Mars is going to be going retrograde in Aries in the next couple of months. And Mars is going to be moving through Aries until January of 2021. So we're going to have a very long time to learn about how we move our anger and our will and our passion and our body.
Mm-hmm.
But this week is kind of the kickoff party for that experience.
Mm-hmm. And as someone with Mars, Mercury, and Venus in Aries in the third house, I've had to really learn how to move energy of fire. And that's where the most powerful ways I know are the silliest ways. It's enacting anger. It's where I have free videos like on hissing, on punching, on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll notice if so it's we drop out of analysis. Don't analyze right now. If you're feeling an emotion you don't want to proliferate. It's and so that's it's instead we drop out and like, I need help letting go. I need help letting go. Ask for help in whatever way you do it from the universe, because letting go is something that's hard for us. Being open to change and not knowing is something that's hard. It triggers our fight flight response, and we're a traumatized species. So we have to comfort the emotion, but move the emotional energy of anger and give it. I mean, really, if you go and punch for 5 minutes, turn on a song, it's, you'll feel different. It's just inevitable. Oftentimes underneath the anger is some sadness. So I'll wait. If I'm feeling angry at something, I'll move the anger through like real physical movement, kicking, punching, hissing, etc., growling, legit. And then I'll say, oh, is there something I need to be sad about? And if so, I make space for that on purpose, just so I can be clear and have a more emotional sovereignty choice. And that emotional choice is what's it's the base of the new systems of thought and systems of business and systems of education that I'm a part of through either my work or me being a part of the collective imagination.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one final thing I want to add with this is because of the Capricorn pressure. There, we've got Cancer on one side that really wants to feel the emotion, and then we've got Capricorn that is okay. That's fine to feel the emotion, but there's all the practical day-to-day realities of life and survival that you have to attend to. So the pressure between those two needs is really being felt right now. And what I hear you saying, Coco, is that to feed both of these energies, you know, doing something practical on the day-to-day level, like while you're taking your shower, while you're exercising, is a way to meet the needs of both of those two opposites.
Yeah, or perhaps a different example that's very I imagine hits home with a lot of at least Americans is you do an embodiment practice before you file for your next week of unemployment. And then you do something else afterwards. Like it's this really basic stuff, like these scary basic things. And we don't know what's going to happen. Like we might, we don't know how hard it's going to get at a systematic level. And so our place of power is our emotional charge about it and being open to miracles. And even with the creative process, it's I'm being strict at my creative process for the Corona project is it feels really slow to me because I'm usually pretty fast, but I'm being really disciplined about not doing work if I have a choice. You know, it's the work that I have a choice around, not doing it unless I really feel grounded and in alignment, and having that as a priority in the creative process. And so it's an embodied priority. It's one that I have an action rather than in theory. Because in theory, we just will keep getting caught in our brain. In action, we'll express the energy, hold space for us emotionally, be open to change, be porous, and then move on to the next moment in a clearer way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, and so this, in relation though, it's the 4th of July in the US in the evening. I think it's the morning, probably in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
It's the 4th and the 5th. Great time for any sort of embodied ritual and ceremony to change at a deep, deep core level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the final thing too that I would say, I keep saying that the final thing, I've got one more thing to say, but I do want to just make sure this gets in, is that it's a really good time to do some healing and some magical work with your well ancestors. So ancestors in your lineage who you might have a connection with that we would call well in spirit, because of the Cancer and also the Capricorn influence, calling on those ancestors and asking them for assistance and guidance. This is an excellent full moon to do some work with that too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I want to extend our spiritual lineage to the earth and saying, hey, earth, we need some help. I need help in creating thriving, sustainable perceptions.
Mm-hmm.
I need help, earth, in letting go, or ancestors in beings, and just tapping into the fact that we're all of the same energy, and that I can ask for assistance energetically, and energy is not bound by time and space, but it's up to me to ask.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think that's it. I feel like we went a little longer than planned, but this is a packed time.
Okay.
Anything else you can think of, Fern?
I think we covered it.
Yay. Yay. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Fern.
Okay.
And until next time, I think we're doing this about every other week, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll just keep feeding this. Feel free to share it. Take what you need from it. Mwah. Much love.